6:12 right now. Take a look at this right here on your screen. A JetBlue flight at the gate with its front wheels off the ground. This was overnight at JFK. The airline just got back to us saying it was caused by a shift in weight during deplaning. Thankfully, nobody was injured. Now, the aircraft had been taken out of service for inspection. Must have been a lot of weight in the back of the plane for it to do that.
Yikes.
Wow.
So this is crazy. The story a lot of people are talking about the past few days, trying to figure out how a woman was able to walk through all the layers of security at JFK and then stow away on a plane to Paris without having a ticket.
Just hard to believe, right? Well, we now know she will be returned here to New York, where she may face criminal charges. And now we're hearing from the passengers on the plane. Julie Millay joining us now with more on this strange story.
Everybody's like, what?
I know, just because we've all been through security and we know how annoying it is, and you're taking your shoes off and all that stuff. I would love to talk to as many passengers on this plane as possible to know who saw her. One passenger on that flight is sharing video of the captain's announcement upon landing. The French authorities were on board the plane.
They've directed us to keep everyone on the airplane until we sort out the extra passenger that's on the plane.
Investigators say the woman is a Russian national who apparently planned to seek asylum in France. TSA officials confirm that she bypassed 2 security checkpoints without a boarding pass. A man who was on the flight says passengers were screened with facial recognition technology at the gate, and the incident raises alarming questions.
If she can get through facial recognition and pass TSA without a valid boarding pass, it just makes one wonder about more nefarious actors who might be able to do the same thing.
For their part, TSA said in a statement, quote, TSA takes every incident that occurs at any of our checkpoints seriously. TSA can confirm that an individual bypassed 2 identity verification and boarding status stations without proper documentation and boarded an aircraft. Before boarding, the individual was physically screened by TSA, did not travel with any prohibited items, and was not a threat to civil aviation. That passenger also telling us that the crew got suspicious because the woman spent most of that 7-hour flight in the bathroom, and we were all just talking, trying to figure out how one does that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess,
so many things.
I mean, you think about like when you're at a sporting stadium and you float into somebody else's seat if you're looking for a better seat. But if you do that on a plane and you sit next to somebody's husband or wife, and they're like, excuse me,
and like
seat's taken.
And
how
facial
fast
recognition and
the facial recognition.
International flight, which is even more than domestic with all the security.
And very concerning. Yeah.
Do you think she got her in-flight meal? I'll have the macaroni and cheese, please.
Would you want to eat it in the bathroom, though?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely not. Julie, thanks.
Thank you.
Arity and Corey, we're talking about a college student who says that, yes, he only received a desk appearance ticket. He has to go back to court in just a few weeks, but he says it's the principal. He's looking for accountability, not just from that dispatcher, but from the officers who arrested him.
And he just saw the Kirpan and he just called the cops on me.
23-year-old yellow cab driver Rupinjot Singh recalling the Friday evening encounter at JFK Airport that he and his supporters describe as an exercise in religious intolerance. At issue, the small dagger, or kirpan, that Rupinjot and other followers of the Sikh faith are required to carry on their person, along with several other religious articles.
I told them, hey, this is my religion and I can't remove this from my body.
Rupinjot says his troubles started on the Terminal 4 passenger pickup line, where he says one of the airport's dispatchers singled him out as he stepped out of his vehicle. Rupinjot says when he spoke up for himself, the dispatcher then called the police. Rupinjot also alleges the dispatcher lied when he told responding Port Authority police officers Rupinjot tried to stab him with his kirpan.
Stand over there, okay? I never took out my kirpan. I never tried to stab him. They just arrested me over there. They just say, you have a weapon in your possession. I was like, this is my religion, religious kirpan, and I can't take this off from my body.
There is legal precedent, specifically the 1987 case of People versus Singh, that established a Sikh's right to lawfully carry a kirpan. Sikh community activist Japneet Singh.
We want a complete dismissal of the charge. Second, we need a way to mandate some kind of religious-based training or a diversity-based training for the Port Authority as well as other city and state agencies.
A Port Authority spokesperson confirms that Singh faces charges of menacing, harassment, and criminal possession of a weapon. The agency also confirming that they are investigating whether the incident with the dispatcher was caught on surveillance video. I did not receive a response, however, to my question about whether the agency provides officer training about a kirpan and its significance in the Sikh faith.
Delta Airlines apologizing this morning after spoiled food was served to passengers on a flight from Detroit to Amsterdam. The plane making an emergency landing at JFK Airport earlier today. The FDNY treated 12 people. Delta says another company supplies their meals for flights, and the airline is now launching an investigation into just what happened.
There's this call. The Port Authority officers that they had to see to believe. On Sunday, they got a report about a horse on the loose at JFK Expressway there. By the time officers caught up to it, it had already traveled across JFK Airport property. They captured the horse near the entrance to Terminal 1. The officers on the scene say they almost didn't believe it when that call came in.
I had the communicator, the dispatcher, repeat it, because that's something that you don't hear every day. I know it's New York City, but the last thing you ever hear is a horse galloping down your airport. So my officers responded as they're trained to do any type of situation. It contained the situation. And
yeah, there's that situation once again. The horse safely returned to Curly's Cowboy Center and reunited with its owner.
And I bet the horse got just as frustrated with all the construction around JFK, just as the rest of us.
Hi there, Kaidi. The Port Authority's calling it extreme turbulence that caused at least 30 passengers aboard a Turkish Airlines flight to suffer some non-life-threatening injuries. It happened just about 45 minutes before Turkish Airlines Flight 001 was about to land at JFK. Now, most of the injuries are said to be minor, mostly bumps and bruises. But according to the FDNY, all 30 passengers were taken to two area hospitals, Jamaica Hospital and Queens General. The Turkish Airlines flight was coming from Istanbul with 326 passengers and 21 crew members aboard. It landed at 5:35 p.m. and we're told that one crew member might have broken a leg. Still, that's not confirmed. Again, a total of 30 passengers being taken to two area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. They had been aboard a Boeing 777. The FAA is now investigating. We are live at JFK Airport. McGee Hickey, Pix 11 News.
And look, if you have a 3:30 p.m. flight, you know, you expect it might, if it's delayed, might take a couple extra hours, 5 or 6 extra hours, or a lot of extra hours. In this case, so many hours, you can feel how angry the passengers were. You can hear the frustration, even through cell phone video, of passengers on a cross-country flight that had to deplane after sitting on the tarmac for a total of about 9 hours when they were told near midnight they would not be given hotel rooms. Their delay would be even longer and would be part of a long episode of frustration.
We are going to deboard very soon.
A passenger points out one of the many reasons Delta Flight 975 got delayed. Yesterday's big thunderstorm.
Literally sitting and waiting for this to go over the top of us.
That's not just any passenger. Peter Murgatroyd is one of the handful of dancers from Dancing with the Stars that were on the flight.
Terrible, absolutely terrible.
Weather backed up the takeoff line on the JFK tarmac for hours, so many hours, and the flight had to head back to the terminal the first time. They were reboarded, only to have a mechanical problem delay them again. After more hours on the tarmac, passengers got so irate, police were called.
They want to go.
They want to go, the flight attendant told the captain, who released them to the terminal.
They gave us Cheez-Its, cookies, almonds, and they went around twice with waters.
They weren't given a hot meal, they say, and when they were told they'd had to sleep on chairs or on the floor with no hotel, the flight wasn't finally able to leave until 10 this morning. 17 hours and 49 minutes after it was supposed to leave, it arrived. That's more than an hour longer than the longest flight available from JFK across the planet to Manila, the Philippines. And it's the same length of time it takes to walk from JFK to Newark Liberty Airport and then walk to LaGuardia. To be clear, the entire episode ended up lasting nearly 24 hours, for which Delta has issued this statement. Delta apologizes to the customers on Flight 975 operating from JFK to Los Angeles, which was delayed Wednesday evening due to weather in New York. Customers were offered water, snacks, and meal vouchers in the terminal, as well as pillows and blankets. The airline points out that JFK is operating with one runway due to construction. It also says that it has confirmed that it never exceeded the 3 hours on the tarmac that is the limit under DOT guidelines, the so-called Passenger Bill of Rights. But Delta also says that it will be offering customers, quote, a gesture of goodwill for their inconvenience. Exactly what that will be, we'll find out from the passengers who have now landed in Los Angeles. Right now, reporting live from JFK Airport in New York, I'm James Ford, Pix 11 News.
Breaking news from JFK, a flight to Los Angeles returning to the airport after the emergency slide deployed following takeoff.
What? Delta says crew members noticed a warning light related to the emergency exit about an hour into the flight. They also heard a sound near the right wing. The pilot returned to JFK and landed without more of an incident. Delta confirms that crews then noticed the emergency slide had fallen off the plane.
The tires on the plane are ripped to shreds. American Airlines Flight 2829 wasn't going anywhere after the tires blew on the runway at JFK Tuesday afternoon. Halted or rejected takeoff is the official term.
There could obviously be debris on the runway, which is dangerous for a number of reasons and typically does not occur, but that's one thing that can happen to cause a blowout. More likely is some wear on one of the two tires. And then if they've decided to abort, that usually requires, a more aggressive braking action, depending on where they are with their airspeed and how much runway remains.
Brian Alexander is a pilot and aviation industry attorney. He took a look at the pictures. I ask about pre-flight checks.
With respect to, tire maintenance, there is a part of inspections that the maintainers will do on a fairly routine basis to be looking at the wear of the treads and the condition of the tires.
It was bound for Phoenix, Arizona. Instead, the 142 passengers and 6 crew members had to switch to another plane. First, a bus ride back to the terminal. The damaged aircraft got a new tire on the runway. It's out of service and parked in the American Airlines hangar.
There'll be some presumptions made about the tire that'll be just normal wear and tear and a blow, unless something else jumps off the page in what they're looking at as they pull the old tires off and put the new ones on, which they've already done.
It was about a 4-hour wait for those folks to get a new ride over to Phoenix, Arizona. American Airlines says that plane will get a complete look over before it's back in service. At JFK, Greg Mocker, Pix 11 News.
We are following breaking news right now to an update we brought you last hour. Reports of smoke that could be seen over at JFK Airport.
Yeah, we now know there was a fire on an escalator. Terminal 8 was evacuated. No injuries have been reported, and the operations are apparently ongoing. You can see the planes moving right there from this live picture. And there was quite a response. You see fire trucks, emergency vehicles, all near that plane in the center of your screen. And we, of course, are still waiting to see if this has caused any kind of delays in flights as well.
Yeah, it's quite the response there with that number of flashing lights. Keep it right here on Pix 11, everybody. We're keeping a close eye on this one. We'll update you as we get more information.
We were circling up there for about, I want to say, 45 minutes. So that was a little bit stressful.
Betty Thiel and her husband had a frustrating night at Kennedy Airport flying in from Salt Lake City, all because of a water leak in the main control tower. Operations at JFK, combined with the rainy weather, required more spacing between aircraft. And because a secondary control tower was being used, some planes circled for hours and hours waiting for permission to land. Steve Petrarca, waiting for a family member, heard about a 4-hour delay on a flight from Abu Dhabi because of the water main break.
The flight was originally supposed to get in at like 3:30. They've been waiting here since 3:30. It was delayed for 3 hours, 4 hours, and it was so bad from what she was telling me, the plane was circling for so long, it actually landed in Newark, refueled, and then flew back over here.
By 8 p.m., JFK controllers were able to return to their primary control tower, but it was passengers in other airports across the country trying to fly into Kennedy who perhaps suffered the most.
Normally, there are about 200 to 300 flights that come in every hour, and that at that moment, which was about 6:30, only 15 were being let down an hour. And it was shortly thereafter that our flight was canceled completely.
Katie Myers, a Pix 11 morning show producer, was trying to fly in from Cleveland, only to have her flight rescheduled for 6 a.m. Sunday morning. According to a Delta gate attendant in Cleveland, more than 2,000 flights system-wide were canceled because of this water main break at JFK.
It is a bit of a bummer. I had plans to celebrate the holiday weekend, and this is just kind of a little bit of a disappointment.
And the latest on flight delays right now, they are just down to 15 minutes. Hopefully it stays that way. We are live at Kennedy Airport. McGee Hickey, Pix 11 News. Back to you, Katie.
We had another incident involving aircraft at JFK Airport now under investigation.
Yeah, JetBlue says one of its planes pushing back from the terminal came into contact with a parked and unoccupied JetBlue aircraft. It happened at 7 a.m. The FAA says when the plane that was pushing back hit the tail of the other plane, no one was hurt. The plane had to return to the gate. The flight to Puerto Rico was assigned to another aircraft.
Yeah, you'll remember on Friday that disaster was narrowly averted. 2 planes on the runway on a collision course, as you see there. One plane crossing the runway as another was preparing for takeoff. Air traffic controllers ordered the departing plane to stop.
A Delta Airlines flight landed at Kennedy Airport Thursday morning with smoke coming out of its brakes. A video tweeted out by the Port Authority shows officials spraying water on the plane's wheels. The Delta 767 aircraft arrived from Brazil around 5:30 a.m. According to Port Authority officials, the airplane had hydraulic failure, which overheated the brakes. No injuries were reported. Kennedy Airport was in the news earlier this month after 10 Sikh passengers were taken to the hospital after their plane landed from Dubai. Authorities met the Emirates aircraft on the runway after initial reports that around 100 of the 500 souls on board were feeling ill. All 10 people hospitalized later tested positive for the flu. Summer Delaney, Pix 11 News.